What's up, guys? Welcome to Running Things. My name's Riley. I'm your host. I'm also the editor over at tempojournal.com. We have a massive episode for you today. It's a London Marathon special edition, and we're going to be chatting to Aussie marathoners Sinead Diver and Brett Robinson. Before we do that, though, today's pod was made possible by our friends at Nike Running and the Nike Run Club app City Challenge Series. If you've been training for a race that you now know won't happen, don't give up on it. You can complete the marathon your own way in the You Can't Stop London Challenge in the NRC app. It's 42 kilometers, just like our athletes in London are going to be doing, and you've got a whole week to do it. It starts today, and whether you decide to do it all in one go or spread it out over the week, please make sure you follow local government area restrictions. Rumor has it Brett and Sinead each have 4 pairs of shoes across the Nike Zoom Fast franchise, and yes, that includes the Alpha Fly. They're giving those away, so make sure you complete the challenge, share your achievement badge on socials, tag in Brett, tag in Sinead, and you could be a winner. It is my absolute pleasure now to be talking with Australia's best performer at London 2019, 2:10:55, and at the start of 2020, he actually broke the national record for the half marathon, so we're expecting big things from him in London this weekend. Brett Robinson. Brett, how are you?
Hey, Riley, I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Mate, it's great to have you on, and it's exciting to be talking about an upcoming race. It's been a long, lonely winter without racing, but how are you going? By the time people get to watch or listen to this, it will be race week in London. How have the last couple of months been for you?
So the whole COVID thing has been annoying for everyone, me included. But I think I'm now one of the lucky ones that actually gets to go overseas and gets to race. Like, I know a lot of my training partners are looking for races and there's just nothing available. So I feel very lucky that I get to do this. My training for this has been really, really good. So better than any of my other marathon prep. So I'm confident that I'm going to have a good race.
That's exciting to hear because, when we think about, obviously New York last year was kind of the end of a pretty long year. And then you kind of took maybe the disappointment of New York and obviously your performances at the start of 2020. I think it was the half marathon was in February. Obviously an amazing performance. Like, how has it been sort of judging fitness, not off races, but just off training?
Yeah, it's been hard. Because that's the thing, like you don't really know how you're going. But I think that's always is the thing in marathon training as well, because you don't race that often in the lead up to a marathon. So your training can be going well, you can be feeling good, but you don't really know until you get out there on the day. And so many things can have to go right for the marathon to be successful on the day. But just going off training and training with Jack, like I've been able to tell that things are going well. I'm heading the right direction. And before Stewie left for London to go and race, I was training with him, and so I knew I was. And when you look at his results, if I'm anywhere near him, then you can tell you're going pretty well.
Now you it seems funny to say, but you're becoming an experienced campaigner in the marathon now. I mean, this is your 4th prep. If we think about, you spent all the time sort of at Falls by yourself a couple of years ago, and then obviously you had a London prep in New York, and now this one. Has anything, apart from sort of the lack of training partners for the last couple of months, but has Nick sort of brought any changes into the main training sessions for you?
This year we've done less sessions. So when lockdown started and everything, we didn't know what was going on. So Nick's like, let's just tone it back, and went back to 2 sessions a week. And before I used to do 3 sessions and a long run. So now this time I do 2 sessions and my long run's more quality. So I've been able to do some very good long runs and running pretty fast at the end, which in other times I was doing a session on the Saturday, then a long run on the Sunday. So I found it hard to choose which one to focus on. And so I'd probably do half-assed in both of them a little bit, where now I think I'm really getting that tiredness in my legs running for 35K and then try and run fast. So I think that's something that I'm happy that I'm doing. It was something I wanted to do, and then when Corona came around, Nick's like, "Oh, let's try this." I'm like, "Yes, please."
And you're living in a different part of town now as well, which for a runner, someone who runs twice a day most days or whatever, a change of scenery or a change of routine is kind of a big deal. How has that adjustment been? You found places to kind of help you prepare for London and train well?
Yeah, like where I live now is like probably some of the best running in Melbourne. Like especially now when we're supposed to be within our 5K radius, like my running every direction is ridiculous. So I'm like, no, that doesn't really bother me, that 5K radius. So it's been good. It's been a fresh start, and I've been able to discover new runs and get on some trails and stuff, which has been good. Where my old house, I was always on concrete and pretty much just did the same loop every single day. Where now, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like for my hour runs, I always do something different, which is kind of cool.
Let's talk about going over to London. Obviously, you've got fond memories there. I mean, your race last year was fantastic. Ran a 2:10:55. What are you like? What are you expecting from the race this week in London?
Um, I'm expecting to run fast. I like I do have time goals in my head, and like I think I can run under 2:08. But I want to get there and just run a good race. Like I don't know what the conditions are going to be. I don't know who's going to be around, what pace. I know we got pacer for about 64 minutes at halfway, maybe a little bit over. Maybe the pacing's bad, so it might slow it down. But if there's guys around me in my pace group, and then it'll be trying to beat all them. So if I can beat all them and feel like I'm finishing well, which is something I want to do. Like every other marathon, I've got to 30K and I'm like, geez, it's going to be a long last 12K. Where this time I want to get to 30K, I'm like, all right, let's make this a race and let's finish strong here. So that's my big goal. And I think if I can run hard that last 12K and not be blown up, I think I can run under 2:08.
I typically won't talk about sort of off the record or private conversations we've had, but I remember the day after London last year, Jack, yourself, and I were sitting in a coffee shop in London, and we were sort of just like debriefing on the race, and just the confidence that you both had from having a great day in London, and you both kind of looked at each other and said, "We're kind of racing each other now to see who can be the first to break the Australian record."
Yeah. I think that day we both felt like the next day, like we can run faster. Like we know what the marathon is now, and we've both felt like we had a couple of minutes in us. We both had like a few minor problems in that race, which gave us confidence to think, yeah, all right, we can do this. Like we can get down to that under 2:08 and break that Australian record. And it was just, I don't know, it is whoever does it first, but I think we're both going to break it at some point. So hopefully I break it next week, and then in his next one he can break it. But as long as I get it again.
Yeah. Let's talk about the specifics of this very unique London Marathon. 19 laps of a 2.2 kilometer or 2.15, whatever it is. Does that kind of loopy atmosphere or dynamic, does that change tactically how you approach the race? Like, is it going to be more important to sit in a pack or get out in front of a pack, or like, will that kind of change how you'll approach things?
I think it's going to be very important to switch off in it and just like kind of, for me, I'm just going to try to get in the pack and just switch off as long as possible, and hopefully I can get past halfway before I start thinking about anything. But it's, yeah, I don't know, because like a 10K on the road always feels a lot easier than a 10K on the track. As it like just goes by, like 25 laps is just like, ugh. So I'm hoping it's not like that. I'm hoping I can just switch off, get in a good group and just be dragged along. But I don't think it's going to be that big difference, because it's like you got the best athletes in the world turn up to this. Like if you can't lift for this, it's like you got a problem. So I just want to go there. I want to try to run fast. So like I don't think, no matter the course, it's going to be a good course. I know it's going to be a fast course. So I think it'll be fun.
Speaking of the competition in the field, obviously we know about the main couple of guys, but there's a bunch of like sub 205 guys, East Africans, most of them Ethiopian. And then there's, the field is stacked full of Brits who Mo Farah is apparently going to be pacing towards that sort of Olympic qualifying standard. So there's these kind of two extremes. And then there's yourself who's somewhere kind of in the middle of that. I mean, you and probably Jared Ward are going to be similar, but have you sort of looked through and identified guys you either think you want to stick with for part of the race, or people you think, geez, I really want to finish ahead of this guy?
Yeah, it's it is tough because like I was actually speaking to Nick about this morning, and he was like, oh, like what kind of guys is there around? And I'm like, around like the 206, 207. I'm like, there's a fair few sub like 205 guys, and then there's like 210, 211 guys, and there's not many in between. Like there's Sondre Molen from Norway, Arnie Garbius from Germany, and then Jared Ward. They're all like Sondre's on 205, and he might go faster pace as well. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I think like Arnie Garbius and Jared Ward are two guys I'll be trying to beat, and like if I beat them, I think we'll have to run fast to do that.
Yeah, you will have had a good day. Now, it's, in marathon week, it's the thing everybody's going to be talking about is obviously the battle between your new mate Kippers and Kenenisa Bekele. Do you have how do you feel about the matchup? Do you have a favorite? Do you think Kippers is going to get him? Like, yeah, how do you see it?
I don't even want to think about it. It's just like I feel sorry for whoever gets beaten. Like and I feel like I feel their pain as well because like I looked after both of them. Like it was Pro Bikili when I was younger, and then like doing Ineos and stuff like that, and seeing Kipchoge, like I've just got like a soft spot for both of them. So like if one of them loses, I'm so like it's kind of I don't know. I feel like it's kind of it's the end for one of them a little bit, and it's just like you're the pin-up boy now, and you'll see ya.
Yeah,
so I don't know, but.
I think the only thing I'm not sure of, like, not to say it would be anticlimactic, but like people are forgetting there's also a bunch of, as I said, like there's a bunch of 204 guys, like Mosinet Geramu, who came second last year. He's a
202,
low 202 guy.
Yeah,
he's not just going to be turning up just to like run behind these guys for fun,
Yeah. I actually asked a friend of both of ours yesterday who will win, and she works for Nike. She's from New York. And she said, stupid question. So she said she's very, very Kipchoge.
Yes. Shout out to Kate if you are listening or watching. By the time, as I say, by the time people are consuming this podcast or watching on YouTube, it's race week in London. Now we're hearing about kind of the pretty strict conditions for you guys in race week. You're going to be sort of off at a hotel that has parklands and whatever else, and you can't leave the grounds, can't interact with a lot of other athletes.
Yeah.
What's your, and I know before London, we got to go out and have coffee and you guys could go and do stuff around the city. How will you handle that week? Is that a good thing for you or a bad thing for you to have sort of nothing to do?
It's probably good. Walking around New York's probably not the best thing you can do. But yeah, I don't know. It's good because I'll just get a rest and just get a like focus on the race and getting ready for the race. But yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty boring week in the lead up to there. And unfortunately, Jack's not coming now. So obviously we do everything together, and it would have been good to have him there, but we're just going to make it extra boring being by myself.
It's been great to see guys like Stewie and the Gregsons and Rambo off in Europe doing their thing, and you're about to go off and have your fun. And obviously, as you mentioned, Jack obviously not traveling over to London. Do you feel, given you are all part of the same training group, do you feel a little bit like you're there for yourself, but you're also you are representing your group and kind of racing for those guys as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a big thing of our group is that people get results, and that creates an expectation within the group as well to you have to perform as well. I think we've been very successful over the years, and I think maybe at the Olympics you could see it, like we had heaps of good results because it just was like it had been a good season for everyone. It was just everyone was like, all right, you can't let down the boys or can't let down the group. So yeah, I definitely feel that, and I don't know, seeing Stewie run an Australian record, so I better try to run an Australian record, I guess.
Well, I love that you're putting it out there. It's not like you're not sort of hiding or kind of keeping your cards close to your chest. I think it's going to give everybody back here in Australia watching, like, that gives us something extra to sort of cheer for, and sort of keep our eye on. Let's talk about after the race.
Yeah.
Have you, and maybe people might not know or not understand, it's not easy to get into Australia right now if you're stuck overseas. Have you got a plan for how you'll get home? Do you know what you're sort of going to do there?
I had a flight and I think it's been cancelled. So I didn't really know this was an issue until about last week. So I was like, and he called me and he's like, yeah, I'll just let you know, you're probably not going to get home for a bit. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I just got a new puppy, so I've got to organise him to get taken care of, and which is a bit annoying. But yeah, I think I'll have to stay maybe 2 or 3 weeks and just hope to get on a flight at some point. But I don't know. And then looking at London, like their cases are going up right now and they're going to lockdown. So as Melbourne's coming out, London's going in. So just going to drag it out for myself.
Yeah, you don't want to miss the summer here.
No. Hopefully, I was hoping to get back for the AFL Grand Final, but I don't think that's a chance at all.
And of course, when you get back here, you're going to have to do your 2 weeks in quarantine anyway, right?
Yeah. Like to be honest, I just want to do the race, then fly out straight away, do my 2 week quarantine, and then I'm back home. Where if I drag it out for 3 weeks and then have to do my quarantine, then it's just kind of like going to feel like I'm gone for ages.
Talking about your race goals and sort of more so talking about 2021, you've got a 2:10:55. You are, at this stage, you're obviously well in the Australian team for the marathon. Achieving a high 2:07 or even if you achieve something in the 2:08 to 2:09s, you're pretty much going to cement a place in the team. Does that afford you the ability in 2021 to run some more 5Ks and 10Ks? Does it sort of take some weight off your shoulders?
Yeah, I think it would definitely take weight off my shoulders, because then I can just go back to getting ready for the race instead of like watching what other people do and wondering if I have to run another marathon, or if I do run another marathon, it can be more about trying to win a marathon, or not necessarily training, like racing for a time or whatever, because like that doesn't always work out well, and a lot of pressure comes for that. And yeah, I always like to go back to the shorter distances, like 10K and stuff like that, because I think that's one of my strengths, is because I have that speed in my legs from being a track runner. I find running 3-minute Ks comfortable. So I'll never just stay running marathons. I always will go back for a bit before running marathons.
I guess Zatopek would be a pretty hard one to make, I guess, depending on your London schedule.
Yeah, depending. If I could get back straight away, it would be a chance. But yeah, I might be pushing it a little bit, and it sometimes takes me a while to get going after a marathon.
All right, we did have a couple of audience questions that I want to go through. The first one is about the taper. Now, for amateur marathoners, we all kind of obsess over the taper, and we're scouring posts on the internet trying to figure out what the hell we need to do in a taper. What's your approach for race week? Is it just sort of short jogs every day? Is there any sessions? And do you enjoy the taper, or does it kind of make you a bit antsy?
Yeah, this one is a little different because I have international flight a week before the race. So I'm also at the same time getting over a flight as I'm tapering. So, but it's pretty much like a few 30-minute runs. I think maybe maybe Tuesday I have an hour run, and then it's like 2:30s, a 40-minute run, and like 20 minutes run before the race. So it's just short runs, but like I kind of feel like doing more because I'm used to running so much. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, you go for a 30-minute run and then don't do anything for the rest of the day. And I'm just like, what do I do? And even just like, to pass the time, I just feel like going for a run. But I do definitely get a bit antsy and want to be doing more.
Will you spend any of that downtime, I guess, writing coaching plans now, probably?
Yeah,
right?
I definitely will have to because I don't really want to be doing any the day of the race. So, and I'm sometimes like leaving at the last minute. So I better start doing them before the day of the
race. We've also had a bunch of questions about in-race nutrition. It's another thing that people kind of are not too sure on or can get wrong. We understand you will probably have the luxury of like just set drink tables. So essentially you can get a drink every 2Ks or 2.5 Ks or whatever it is. What kind of works for you and what will you be doing on race day?
I'll be going about every 5K, just because that's what I've been training with, and that's what most marathons are. I'll be having just like Morton gels with a bit of water. I don't have the drink anymore. I just prefer having the gels. They just sit better in my stomach. I think that's what Bikili does as well, actually.
Really?
But so yeah, someone sent me his. I think the Morton guy spoke to my coach and sent him his plans. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna copy that. It works for him, or it'll work for me, and that's just what I've trained with. So yeah, that'll suit me. But I don't know. I was speaking to Sinead, and she's like, "Oh, what do you reckon with the? Because you can have it every 2.5K, but I don't know. It just feels like you'd be eating the whole time for 2 hours straight." Lot. So yeah.
The last audience question I wanna ask you is, are you gonna wear a watch this time?
Yeah, I will. I don't know why. I just keep changing my mind if I wear watches or not. So I didn't at London. I did New York. When I ran my half marathon, I did. But then I see this footage of me with 500 meters to go, and I'm just going like this, looking to see how far I got to go, and that's the reason I don't want to wear it, because I just get obsessed with the pace and stuff like that. So I think I'm a lot better at just going, all right, I'm just wearing it to check occasionally. But if I want to be running 301s and I look and it's 302s, I'm not going to go, all right, I need to go faster. I'm just going to go, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm going to go at.
But that's the thing, right? And I think that's something that all amateur runners can relate to, is we get obsessed with, if you're supposed to be running, as you say, if it's 301s and you're on 302s, you panic, and then it's you're surging, and it's just not good for you.
And your body's running the pace it wants to be running. So just because I want to be running 301s doesn't mean I should be. And if I start running 301s, I'm probably going to run 315s, 320s at the end. So
is that a bit of a, not a secret, but is that something that comes with experience, not just at the marathon, but you're an Olympian in the 5K, and you've been running forever, but is that something that comes with experience, just that sort of calmness and knowing in the race, okay, well, this might not be the pace that I thought I was going to run, but this is where my body wants to be, and just being calm about it and going with it?
Yeah, I think it's something I've definitely learned over the years, and just and with my training as well. When I go for an hour run, I don't always wear my watch. I'm like, all right, let's just go by feel. Let's just go and do a loop that I know is about an hour, and I don't care what pace, because who cares if I run 410s or 420s? What's the real difference? So that's just something I've practiced over the years. And then I think it's also just my personality a bit as well. I'm not someone who stresses over things that much. And I stay pretty calm. So I think that helps me for sure.
All right. So to finish off, for everybody who's going to be watching the race on Sunday, and it's going to be amazing. But when we're watching and seeing how you're going and refreshing live feeds and all that sort of stuff and time checks, the plan is pretty smart until sort of the 30K, and then if you can dial it up, the plan is to dial it up from there. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe the last 4 or 5 laps. If I can be running faster then than I was in the middle, then that would be a good sign.
Amazing, mate. On behalf of all of us, it's so exciting. It's not just exciting to have racing back. It's exciting that the organisers have put together this amazing field, and it's even more exciting knowing that we've got Australia's best marathoners sort of taking part. So we'll all be watching. We wish we could be there live, but mate, all the best and good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much, and hopefully I'll put on a good show.
It's great to know in advance sort of what each athlete is going to be aiming for, and it's so great and so exciting to hear Brett talk about looking at that sub 208. Of course, the great Rob De Castella owns the Australian record, 207.51. So it's cool to know that Brett's going to be potentially having a crack at that if he's feeling good on the day. And also if you are watching and are following the race on Sunday, to kind of see if he's maybe tracking a little bit behind that pace during the race. He is planning on coming home pretty strong. So certainly cool to know that. If you guys are looking for the Sinead interview, which we also did in the lead up to the London Marathon, you can find that linked in the show notes below. Until then, we'll see you next time, and enjoy the race on Sunday. Thanks so much for watching Running Things here on YouTube. If you haven't already, do us a favor, hit that little subscribe button. It really helps out our channel. Also, tell your friends, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram @Tempo Journal.